Today we'll start a new chapter, Kingdom Plantae or Plant Kingdom. This is chapter number 3 of your textbook. So in previous chapter we studied about the broad classification of living organisms, and the most acceptable classification was the classification given by Whittaker, where he had divided the living organisms under 5 kingdoms, and plant kingdom was one of them. So we studied some characteristics of plant kingdom, but this kingdom is so vast we need to study it in detail. So we will be studying them under these headings, that is algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms, followed by their life cycles and alternation of generation. But today we will be focusing on systems of classification. What system do we follow when we classify the living organisms so that it is scientific? From time to time, different systems were proposed by different people. So all these systems can be grouped into 3 categories. These 3 categories are artificial system of classification, natural system of classification, and phylogenetic system of classification. Let us study little bit more about these systems of classification. So first one is artificial system of classification. In this system of classification, generally the vegetative characters are given more importance. The most famous type of artificial classification system is the system given by Carolus Linnaeus. He basically focused on the gross superficial vegetative characters such as habit, leaf structure, leaf size, and the stamen characters, stamen modifications. But second was the natural system of classification, where it was more elaborative, based on evolutionary features, where relationship among the organisms was also considered. The most common and the scientific system, natural system of classification was proposed by Bentham and Hooker. So Bentham and Hooker system of classification is generally used when we classify the kingdom Plantae, because it is very elaborative. We can use the information to identify any organism, any plant very easily. There are certain drawbacks also, because it is not stable. We keep on adding new and new parameters to study the living organisms. That's why the natural system of classification shows a lot of changes, whereas artificial system of classification is stable because a limited information is used. What about phylogenetic system of classification? It is one step further than natural system of classification, because here we take the evolutionary relationship and also make the flow charts so that we can trace back to their evolutionary history. And that's why it is a function of taxonomic research at all the levels of classification. And for studying this classification, we have to prepare the flow charts, which are called as cladogram, or we say cladistic characters. So branching or flow charts are shown so that we can prepare the sequence of evolution. Okay, so this is phylogenetic system of classification. So today, along with the phylogenetic system of classification, we use many other informations also. So that's why they are called modern systems of classification. So in modern systems of classification, we will be studying numerical taxonomy, cytotaxonomy and chemotaxonomy. In numerical taxonomy, we use the computers for computing the data. So all the characters which are studied, they are given certain numbers and codes, and then the whole data is processed in the computer. Next comes the cytotaxonomy. In cytotaxonomy, we study the internal characters also, like cell structure, chromosome, chromosomal number, so many things. And last one is chemotaxonomy, where we also consider the chemical constituents of the plants.